Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Ifini. Great Malabite, action.
Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Good
morning, sir.
Good morning, Victoria.
Good
Tundu,
morning.
MKO, Abiola. Simply black and white. Not one of those exotic colors, but just as beautiful.
Oh, so kind. Thank you.
Now let's start the review. Let's start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. The lead story, 2023, Ohanaeze roars, condemns Northern Governors, Berates PDP, states how Balewa, Gowon, Mohammed, Shagari, others underdeveloped North, says another Northern president will destroy nation's unity. Atedo, zoning is about political expediency, compromise. Yes, the raging debate over the position of the Northern governors at their meeting in Kaduna a couple of days ago. Ohanaeze intervening there, and of course at Tedo Peter's side, using his Twitter to make his point, defying that ban. But the point at Tedo Peter's side made is quite on point, that it's about political expediency. Those who are talking about, oh, is it in the Constitution? They know they are just trying to shy away from the reality of our political situation in this country. And it needs restating that for equity, for harmony, and for the unity of this country, power has to move southwards in 2023. We'll say that again and again. And I'm sure before long, the politicians will know that, yes, it is the expedient thing to do. It doesn't matter whether you're a Northern politician or not. It is the expedient thing to do, and 2023, Nigerians will want to see, at the end of the day, it's Nigerians who should be decided by voting. But the politicians have a role to play in picking their presidential candidates, especially the two major political parties in the country. PDP also receiving knocks there because what it started, and many have commended, they are about shying away from that, giving the excuse that there's still some 4 years left of the Yaradua presidency to be completed. And I ask, if you bring a Northern presidential candidate from the PDP, will you tell him to do only 4 years because he is completing the 4 years of Yaradua? So, such convoluted reasoning should not be part of the discourse. Now, we move over to other newspapers. The Vanguard newspaper, hard knocks for Northern governors overstand on VAT power shift. Now, above the masthead of the Vanguard, kidnappers on rampage in Lagos abduct retired AVM. 4 others in 48 hours. AVM Air Vice Marshal Smith, retired, was kidnapped, and the circumstances surrounding his kidnap is one that should send jitters down the spine of many residents in Lagos today. Now, also beside the photograph of front page of the Vanguard, attacks on security agents. Someone who orders CP to fish out corporates. Yes, those Okada men or motorcycle riders who attacked and killed that police officer who was barely 8 months away from his retirement. We don't want to hear that he was killed by unknown Okada men. Everything must be done to get the killers and let them face charges accordingly. Now, the Daily Sun newspaper, Afenifere Middle Belt Forum, Ohanaeze Sani hit northern governors' leaders. You left massive killings going on to talk about power shift, Middle Belt Forum. It's quite interesting that the silence that northern governors met, killings were still going on in Kaduna State where they met. Yet there was no word. Their silence was deafening on that matter. And those who are pulling this out are quite correct. At least the 51 or so people who have died in the Zango-Kataf area are citizens of this country. They are northerners. They are not less so. So it's quite surprising that it did not form part of the discourse. Now, the leadership newspaper, Power Shift, northern groups divided over Kaduna Declaration. Middle Belt youths disown northern governors, traditional rulers. Resolution portend bleak future. Nigeria collapsing under northern leadership. Ohanaeze, you are sick. ACF fires back. Of course, Dr. Bitrus Pogo, the General Secretary of the Middle Belt Forum, and the Northern Youth Council of Nigeria seem to be dissociating themselves from the position of the northern governors. And that is what the leadership newspaper is reporting, because they believe that what the northern governors are canvassing, power being retained in the north, will not make for unity of this country. In fact, it will destroy the unity of this country, according to them. Now, the Guardian newspaper, 77 oil firms owe Nigeria $6.48 billion amid continuous borrowing. Nigeria debt may hit 40 trillion by 2022. Outstanding tax enough to offset budget deficit, says ex-CITN boss. Remittances from taxable Nigerians poor. Sislak laments. Experts insist federal government borrowing to evade in-country potential. Now, this some news that should trouble many Nigerians, that so much can be owed the government, yet the government is going a borrowing. Why not put in effort in recovering this debt? The FIRS have more than enough job to do than pursuing VAT to court to the National Assembly. The Punch newspaper has similar story. Federal government releases fresh debtors list. November, 77 oil firms owe 2.66 trillion naira. Firms fail to remit petroleum profit tax, income tax, education tax, VAT, others. We are partnering EFCC, NFIU to recover 2.66 trillion from oil firm, says agency. Now, the Daily Independent has the same story. 77 oil firms owe federal government 2.6 trillion as it borrows for budget deficit. The same story on the front page of the New Telegraph. Recover 2.659 trillion to Federation account, Naiti. Now, the Daily Trust newspaper 2023, expectations doubt as Jega Utomi others mobilize against APC PDP. Why movement will fail? Lawyer, present arrangement favors two parties. Don't. They are not threat. They are not a threat. PDP, APC. Well, the new group Rescue Nigeria project with Atahiru Jaga, former INEC chair, and Patutomi as some of the arrowheads. Well, they are mobilizing. Not many are quite enthusiastic because we have seen this in the past. In 2018, recall that former President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo and Ologunsoye Oyinlola, as well as Donald Duke, came up with the launch of Coalition for Nigeria Movement, CNM. At the end of the day, it came to naught. And of course, similar groups have emanated before. But we'll see how they gather steam. But if the statement credited to Pat Utomi is anything to go by, then I don't think one will be expecting that this group will be able to upstage the two major political parties, because he said, yeah, the RNP was focused in setting criteria for the next set of leaders, while the Nigerian Consultative Forum front, on the other hand, was focused on structural changes. So I don't see how they will upset the apple cart of the major political parties come 2023. Now, the foreign newspapers, quickly. The Daily Telegraph. French accuse UK of igniting fishing war. 3/4 of small boats denied access to British waters in post-Brexit regime. Now, a fresh Brexit war is threatening to break out last night, after UK government rejected 3/4 of application from small French boats to fish in waters around Britain. And this is likely to further deepen threaten the relationship between Boris Johnson and Emmanuel Macron. Coming shortly after that backstab, to use the words of Emmanuel Macron, in the pact between Australia, UK, and the US. But the Financial Times is reporting US risks running out of money by October 18, Yellen warns. Impasse over raising debt ceiling. Shutdown looms Friday. We've seen this before. We've heard this kind of story before. Will the US government shut down, or will there be a resolution? Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, is warning shutdown is just around the corner. Ruben Rufai and Tundu.
They have to avert a shutdown in a pandemic. I can't imagine. A lack of funding.
But with politics taking the high ground in Congress.
I think something is going to happen. Something's got to give. I can't imagine in a pandemic.
Janet Yellen is calling for bipartisanship.
I hope she gets
on the platform of that to raise the borrowing limit as shared responsibility. But in any case, I hope we'll not have the kind of situation we had when Gingrich, that's his name, right? No, it's
Yes.
Gingrich. When he was Speaker of the House, and there was a shutdown of the U.S. government. Maybe it won't get to that point. We still have close to 3 weeks. Yes, but Tiffany, we don't have more time. Otherwise, I would have loved to ask you about the spectacles from the United Kingdom, the punch-ups at the fuel stations, and how that is so familiar.
Yeah, that's the Times of UK. That's the front page. It's becoming
as an experienced,
it's becoming no news now because they are getting used to fuel scarcity in the UK.
Problem.
But I hope they get over it soon.
We are members of the same human community.
Yes.
And anything can happen anywhere at any time. Thank you, friend.